Hi guys, how's it? Welcome back to another pregame video brought to you by me, Daryl Keithenden, the Fairweather Rugby fan. Lineups have been announced for this weekend's Round 2 Clash of the Rugby Championship, where the Springboks get to go up against a bitter rival. It's a rivalry that we all live for, we all love, and that would be the All Blacks at Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland, New Zealand. Been excited for this one. These are the ones, like I said, we always live for these as Springbok fans. Definitely I do. I mean, I'm amped up. I'm excited. It's going to be a pretty early kickoff here. 1:55 in the a.m. here in Texas is the time for kickoff. But I will be up. I will be ready. I will be live. Come and hang out with me if you want to hear an American rugby commentator during the game of rugby union. So let's go ahead and just get into this thing, guys. We can go ahead and talk about the history between these two teams. I have gone back all the way to July of 2019. We played them at the Cake Tin down there in windy Wellington, New Zealand, and it was a 16-all draw. Go up to September of 2019, the World Cup, Yokohama, Japan, the very first game. I remember the Kieran Reid duo with the Aaron Smith-led or TJ Perinaro-led Haka. We do end up, unfortunately, losing that pool game 23-13 before a capacity crowd there at Yokohama in Japan. But obviously, we got the last laugh winning the World Cup that year. Then we had to take some time off. Obviously, COVID kept us out of the 2020 Rugby Championship as it went back to the Tri-Nations that year. And we came back in September of 2021. All the games were being held in Australia. We get to face off against New Zealand in like Townsville, I believe was the name of the town. Little small town in the north of Australia. And we do end up losing 19-17 in our return to battle against those All Blacks. And then in October, we finally get our just desserts, 31-29 victory in Gold Coast. Go up to the following year, last August of 2022. We meet them at Mbombela Stadium there in South Africa. That first game against them in the Rugby Championship, and we come away with that victory, 26-10. It was quite the thrashing. Our boys took care of business, definitely. I do believe that was the game that Faf de Klerk went out early, courtesy of Caleb Clark's knee or thigh, if I can't recall correctly. And then 1 week later at Ellis Park in Johannesburg, we do end up taking the L 35-23. So like I said at the beginning of the video, these are the ones we live for. So let's go ahead and get a start with the weather for this match, this historic matchup. These are always historic. When it's the All Blacks and the Springboks, people talk about the Bledisloe, the Six Nations, England, Wales. Man, cock, it's rubbish. This is the real rivalry. This is the real rivalry. And I have to give a bit of thanks to some fans. I've kind of lost some throughout the last year, obviously, with things happening. But the older fans that made me check my history, made me go back and look at those games in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Because I was just like everyone else, man. I just assumed the All Blacks had just dominated. And I had to go back to, unfortunately, the pre-end of apartheid to see that, like, we truly dominated the Kiwis when it came to the game of rugby. I even went back to, like, the 70s. Guys like Sir Brian Williams being the first, I guess, being given honorary status or whatnot. Having to go back and look at that and kind of look at the history of the All Blacks and that. And I mean, I don't disrespect the All Blacks. Like, it's cool. The history is there. The legacy is there. But the dominance pre-1990, it wasn't there. It wasn't there. The Springboks dominated the All Blacks. It's just the way it was. I guess it was the farmer boys, the militant Boer mentality, the Afrikaner fighting spirit, whatever. But, like, you didn't really see the All Blacks really making a huge change until they made the change the way they made their selections. That's when you started seeing the likes of Sir Michael Jones, one of the greatest, most perfect rugby players in history. Jonah Lomu, may he rest in peace, one of the greatest wingers in history, if not the greatest winger in history. You started seeing them change the way they selected their teams, and that's when you started seeing the competition that it is now. The weather report for the game, it's looking like it's going to be about 14 degrees and a slight chance of rain there at Mount Smart in Auckland. For any of my North American followers, that's 60. I would kill for that here. Like, it got up to 105 Fahrenheit, low 40s Celsius, mid 40s Celsius today here in Texas. Yeah, it was a hot one here. But I'm going to have to go ahead and read these lineups off the cell phone here because I did not have a chance to print them or to put them up on my monitor here, but I'm sure you guys can understand. So we will go ahead and start out with the hosting All Blacks as they make quite a few changes to the starting 23-man squad, and we do get a debut on the weekend. So the front row will consist of Ethan de Groot, Crusader Cody Taylor, and Tyrell Lomax. Chief Brody Retallick will be one of the locks, and the other lock will be Barrett brother Scott Barrett. Kind of thought maybe he would start at flanker, but no, they moved him up. Looks like we do not have Sam Whitelock this week. Shannon Frizzell, the Highlander, and Sam Kane captaining the side will be the flankers, with Artie Savea at number 8. Very, very solid flanker and forward combo there. Aaron Smith, the veteran fly half, will take his rightful place at number 9, and the scrum half position at number 9. And first 5/8, Richie Mo'unga gets the start this week. No DMAC, no Damian McKenzie. So definitely a deadly weapon. Richie Mo'unga is definitely he's got the stuff still. The wings this week will be Blue Mark Talea and breakthrough player Will Jordan, the Crusader, will be the other wing. The centers will be other Barrett brother, Jordy Barrett, the tall one at 6'5", with a very lanky boot, and Rico Iwani. There's a hole right there. And anchoring it all, the last of the Barrett brothers, former World Player of the Year, 2-time back-to-back, Bowden Barrett. On the replacement front row, we will get Samasoni Tokiahu at hooker, and then making his debut this week, Tamatai Williams and Nepo Lulala. My bad. Sorry, bro. Tupou Vai will be the lock replacement, with Dalton Papali'i being the flanker number 8 replacement. Redhead Finley Christie will be the scrum half replacement, with Braden Enor and Caleb Clark and the number 23 jersey. So let's go ahead and head over to the Springbok 23-man squad. Front row will consist of Kitsoff, Bongi Manambi, and Franz Maharba. Starting in the front row, no changes to the front row from last week. Captaining our side, the big man Eben Etzebeth, with Lud de Hager being his co-locking mate there, his combo mate. Quagga Smith gets a start this week with Franco Muster and Jasper Visa at number 8. Those guys should have their hands full with Artie Savea, definitely. Not so much Sam Kane. Hopefully no kids run out on the field and he doesn't kick them this week. I know it's ill in taste, but yeah. Fluff de Klerk once again makes his way back into the starting at 15 at scrum half, and the first 5/8 will be Damian Valemza this week. The 1-2 combo at wing, Makazoli Bapipi. Hopefully we get to see the horns up this weekend, and world-class Cheslin Colby at his opposite wing. Good old reliable Damian Dialende, Lucanio Am at center. No worries there. We know not only are they in the same book, same page, but a lot of times they are on the same word. And anchoring it all at 15 will be, once again, Willie LaRue. Now, the bomb squad this week, this is a real bomb squad. Front row replacements will consist of my man Malcolm Marks taking his rightful space. Watch him on the maul if the line outs. He fits right in, drives him in. Thomas Tatoy and Vincent Kolk will be the front row replacements. Once again, getting to see the Viking himself, R.G. Sneeman, coming in as a lock replacement. Peter Steph Tatoy and Dwayne Vermeulen, our captain last week, round out the forward replacements, with Grant Williams, awesome coming off the bench, and a man who proved himself greatly last week, Manny Libach, will be our final replacement player. So like I said, man, these games are the ones we live for. We die, we breathe for these games. They're always classics. The All Blacks, the Springboks, it doesn't matter what's going on between both teams. We know these games are always going to be epic clashes. This is not going to be last week. If it is and we do that, I'll be very, very happy. The All Blacks, though, just as many questions over their head as there are over ours. Like, what's going to happen in the World Cup with these two teams? I don't feel like we've made a great amount of changes to our squad from 2019. Theirs has changed quite a bit. This is going to be Fozzie's last rugby championship. What is he going to prove? I know any of you guys that watch The Breakdown, Sir John Kerwin, Jeff, Robert, all these guys, we watch these shows, and as much as we were high on beating the Wallabies last week with a B side, I think we also took a step back and realized this Wallabies team is bad. They did the same thing to the Pumas in Argentina last weekend, and they're kind of taking it a little differently than the way we would take it. They think that, oh, we bad. We're back. We're ready. Is that overconfidence going to make a difference this weekend? I think so. I do see this being a close game. I didn't give us the victory we had. I had us beating Australia 21-16, 21-15. I'm going to amp it up. I'm going to amp it up a bit this week. I'm going to say a 29-24 victory for the Springboks. Anything better than that, of course, I'll be happy. I'll be happy if it's a 2-point victory and we play well. Both teams play well. But I think the key spots that we're going to need to watch here is the centers. Rico Awani is a great speedster. He does not play defense worth a damn. Jordy Barrett, very long, very tall. I think Dialende could run through both of them with ease. I think wouldn't have to run through them. He can run around them. Now, our wings, obviously, not having to start against Caleb Clark is a great thing. Mark Talea is unproven. He's still in the single digits of caps. Will Jordan can hurt you. Will Jordan has the skill sets to hurt you big time. And if Richie Mo'unga is not kicking well, they can hand it to Jordy or Bowden. They can both kick well. Bowden, not as much. I'd probably take my chances with Jordy a bit more than Bowden. But if this is going to be a kicking competition, I'd be somewhat worried, but I don't think it's going to be a kicking competition whatsoever. I think our boys are going to do their job. There was a quote from Kirtley this week saying, people were talking about what a great game he had, and the humbleness of that young man saying, look, the forwards set it up for me. That was the reason I was able to get a hat trick. And the humbleness of a young man like that just had a hat trick in a world-class game. That tells you everything you need to know about Kirtley right there. That he didn't even take all the praise. He tried to heap a lot of it onto his forward pack, who did the hard work to allow him to be able to score 3 tries in a game. And you got to tip your hat to that. So, like I said, we'll watch a little bit on the wings. I'm not worried about the centers. Fullbacks, Bowden's world-class at fullback too. If it gets into a kicking competition, I do worry a bit, but I don't think it's going to get to that point. The All Blacks want to win this game just as bad as we do, and I think even more so for Ian Foster. He wants to kind of come out with a decent legacy at the end of the day, because if you look at it on paper, Ian Foster is the worst All Blacks coach in history, having them ranked 5th at one point. Does that make me cry a bit? Not really, because I don't think he should have ever been the coach. You can go back to my videos. I think Warren Gatland should have been the coach after Steve Hansen, but that's just my personal opinion. And if you come to my channel, you're going to get my opinions. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to get to bed. I've got work tomorrow, the next day, and then I will see you guys. Well, it'll be early Saturday morning, late Friday night here for me here in Texas. But I cannot wait to watch the boys win and to do a post-game winning video. Cheers, guys.